Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga. We are in the month of January 2023. This is our second week of our Yang yoga practice. And a Yang practice is more vibrant. It's intended to get the body heated. It raises our heart rate, raises our respiratory rate. And it's amazing, our body is such an incredible instrument that if we require a deeper breath, a faster heart rate, our nervous system automatically does that for us. But today, I want you to also think about a deeper breath, a fuller breath, really expanding the ribs, taking a maximum inspiration so that you're using the entire lower lobes of your lungs and not just breathing shallow. And that's going to help to access that oxygen level to the muscles that we need. We'll be focusing on range of motion for the shoulders and then an option for shoulder strengthening with light hand weights if that's something that you would like to add. I've got a sequence today that I'll call the flight of the bird, and we'll be learning that sequence. And then as we feel comfortable with it, then we'll be able to add some light hand weights if you'd like. We are starting today with a breathing pranayama called the breath of joy. So I just wanted to break this down a little bit if you've forgotten how to perform or never have performed breath of joy. So with the breath, without moving my body, I would like you to exhale completely, and then you'll take 3 small sniffs in through your nose. So it's a progressive breath in. So you'll inhale 3, 2, 1, and then exhale through your mouth and make a sound. So you're not just letting the air escape, but you're kind of constricting the back of your throat and really making that sound as if you're fogging up your glasses. So we'll do that again just with the breath. Inhale. So on the 3 breaths, the arms come forward, out, up, and then exhale, the arms come down. So let's try that with our breathing. One more time. So now we can add some bending of the knees and a slight forward fold on the exhalation to really help expel that breath out. So take your feet a little bit further apart, maybe hips distance, soften your knees. We'll breathe in. And then as you breathe out, bend your knees, let your abdominals really expel that breath and come down, and then stand back up. Inhale. Exhale. All right, so we are going to do breath of joy for 60 seconds at your own pace. You don't have to follow my pace. You don't have to add the forward fold. If you get a little lightheaded, you want to stay upright, just do it without that bend in the knees and the hip hinge forward. So exhale fully to prepare and begin. 1 minute. 30 seconds. Fifteen seconds. Finish one more. Then come up and just stand in a nice mountain pose. Wow, just check in. What are you feeling? So if I put my hand on my heart, Definitely heart rate is up. I feel the breath rate up. I feel a lot of blood flow to my arms, increasing blood flow through the head, and feel nice and active and ready to begin our practice. So with our chair pose today, you can keep your feet hips distance apart, or you can pull them again against each other a little tighter. And this month we're focusing on balance and longevity. So sometimes bringing our stance closer helps us to focus a little bit more on balance. But if you want to create a stronger and wider base of support, feel comfortable doing that as well. So as we sit into chair pose, just allow the arms to come forward as the hips go back. And then rise back up and pinch the shoulder blades together behind you. And come forward and open out. Now, a lot of times with a squat, we inhale when we come down and exhale as we come up in traditional strength training. That's what we do. But for today's practice, when we're here and open, that's where I want you to inhale. So let's start from here. Breathe in and then breathe out as you sink into chair. And I'd like for you to get a nice range of motion as you bring your arms behind you, through the shoulders, through the pectorals, and some engagement of those muscles in the upper back. This is going to help us to really work on strong posture. Inhaling, open. Exhaling, lowering down. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. Exhale to sink into your chair pose and hold 3 to 5 breaths. Now, this angle of the arms is entirely up to you. You might find in a traditional chair that the arms are directly next to the ears, but that might not feel comfortable for you. So take your arms anywhere here that you'd like to. Even bringing them at the heart is fine. 1 more breath. Then exhale and come up. Now bring your palms to heart center. And on an inhale, we'll open out into goalpost arms. And again, this is a stretch through the chest, through the fronts of the shoulders, and a connection through the back. Bring the palms back into touch. Inhale, open. And exhale, close. With chair pose, inhale, open. Exhale and sink. And open. And sink. Now really expand that breath. I want you to be conscious of your maximal inspiration and complete exhalation with the breathing. That might slow down the rate of this flow for you. So you're going at your own pace. 1 more. Hold that chair pose. Now you can press the palms together vigorously to create some stress in the muscles there of your chest, a little bit of an isometric contraction. Now as we rise up and open the arms, step your right foot back a little bit into a crescent lunge. This can be any distance that you step back and then close into your chair pose. Step back left foot, open, and close. Step back right foot and try to get your leg straight and fire your glute and your quad. Take some energy into that leg and close. Inhale, step back, flight of the bird, and exhale, close. 2 more on each side. And as you do these movements, I want you to be thinking whether or not you want to add weights with any of these, or if this is just fine without adding extra resistance. 1 more each side. Close to chair. And if you're not using weights, just hold chair pose. If you're using weights, take a moment to retrieve light to moderate hand weights. Sit back into your chair with a connection at your heart center with your hand weights. On your inhale, right foot steps back, open, goalpost arms, squeeze the shoulder blades, and close. So let the rate of your breathing be the vehicle that drives the speed of this movement. So for as long as you can breathe in, you're stepping back into your lunge. As long as you can breathe out, you're stepping into chair. 2 more on each leg. One more each side. Holding your chair pose. Staying there if you don't have weights. If you have them, stand up, release, and come back into chair, pressing your palms. Feel the strength in your legs. One more breath. And then we rise up. Now, as you sit into chair, bend your elbows about 90 degrees and bring them out in front of you. So I have a bend in the elbows. My arms are low at the elbows. A little bit of work through the shoulders. As you rise up, step your right foot back, plant it into warrior one. So we have our heel down. This is different from our high crescent lunge. Holding your warrior one, open your arms out to the side, any amount, working through the outsides of your shoulders. Lower your arms down. Shift your body weight forward, reaching your arms in front of you, and lift off the back leg into warrior three. Hold here, and we'll do an opposition reach. So your right leg is back. Take your left arm forward. This is standing bird dog. One of our New York Times exercises we're focusing on this month. Lower that left arm back down. Step your right foot back into warrior one. Bring your arms behind you, palms up, and reach them as high as you can behind you and squeeze your shoulder blades. As you lower your arms by your side, step back into mountain. We'll do the other side. It says you sit into chair, bring your arms forward at about a 90-degree bend. As you rise up, step your left foot back into warrior one. Your foot's turned out slightly, heel is planted. Lift your arms out to the side or do an upright row, bending your elbows out to the side. Lower down. Shift your arms forward, lift up off the back leg, or you can keep the big toe down. Now, since your left leg is back, your right arm goes forward. Standing bird dog, or in yoga, this is our warrior three modification. Lower your arms, step your left foot back to warrior one, bring both arms behind you, lift your palms up. You can also turn your palms in and squeeze your hands toward one another to really open your chest. And then step back in, mountain pose, palms forward. Each side performed one more time. Sit into chair, bring the arms forward at about 90 degrees. Step back, right foot, warrior one. Lift the arms out to the side. You can bend your elbows a bit. Lower your arms, reach them forward. Lift off the back foot, and your left hand reaches out. So we have opposition. Step back, warrior one. Lift your arms behind you, open your chest, activating your shoulders and the upper back. Step into mountain. One more time on the other side. Sit into chair. Rise up, step back, left foot, warrior one, arms open. This is a lateral shoulder raise. Shift forward, palms toward the mat. Lift up off the back leg, find your balance. Right hand reaches out, opposition. Step back into warrior one. Bring both arms behind you, open up your chest, nice proud posture, activate your upper back. And step back into chair, mountain pose. All right, if you're not going to use weights, that's okay. We're going to repeat the sequence again, or you can pick up your light hand weights to strengthen the shoulders in these positions if that feels okay for your body. So stand tall. Sink into chair, the arms come forward. You still have a bend in your elbows. Right foot steps back, warrior one. Open the arms out into a lateral shoulder raise. Lower your arms, shift forward, lift up off the back foot. Left hand reaches forward. Lower back down to your warrior one. Both hands come behind you and lift those arms up, activating the rear deltoids. Lower your arms, step back into mountain. Prepare, sit into chair, arms come forward. Now, if your weights are really light, you can extend them longer, straight out in front of you. Left foot steps back, warrior one, arms open side. Any amount of bend in your elbows. Lower down, shift forward. Lift up off of that left foot. Right arm reaches. Lower that arm down. Left foot steps back, warrior one. Arms come behind you and lift. And we're pausing in each of these movements to feel that isometric work. Step into mountain. 2 more sequences on each leg. Sit into chair, arms come forward, working the anterior deltoids. Right foot steps back, warrior one. Arms open side, working the medial deltoid. Lower the arms, shift forward, lift up off the back foot. Left arm reaches, standing bird dog. Lower back down to warrior one. Plant the heel, arms behind you. Posterior deltoid activation. And step into mountain pose. If the weights are getting too much, you can set them down. Just continue without. Sit into chair, arms come forward. Any bend of the elbows is fine. Left foot steps back, warrior one. Arms lift side, or you can do this upright row with bent elbows. Lower the arms down, shift forward into your balance work. If you need to hold your chair here, that's fine. And our right arm comes forward, oppositional work. Steady with the breath. Left foot steps back, warrior one. Both arms behind you, squeeze the shoulder blades, lift those arms. Really good posture. Step into mountain. 1 more sequence on each leg. Sink into chair. Hold. Right foot steps back, warrior one. Arms lift laterally. Hold. Lower the arms. Shift forward into balance. Left arm forward. Hold. Step back, warrior one. Arms lift behind you, rear deltoid raise, hold. And step into mountain. 1 more on the left side, and I'm not telling you when to breathe. I just want you to keep that breath moving wherever it feels right for you. Sit into chair. Arms forward. Left foot steps back, warrior one. Arms go side. You can go on a 45 as well, slightly to the front. Lower down, lift up off the back leg. Balance. Right arm forward. Lower down, step back to your warrior one, our final time. Reach both hands behind you. Activate your core here. The bandhas are engaged. And we step into mountain and hold. If you have your weights, release those and back to your mountain pose. So one of the exercises in the New York Times article is called the single leg stance. And that's the ability to stand on one foot with the other knee raised for 10 seconds. So I'd like you to lift your right leg and we'll hold 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Set that foot down. I want to do a back-to-back comparison on your other leg just to see the difference. Lift your left knee up, find your balance, and hold 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and back to mountain. Just notice, did you feel more confidence on one side than the other? Really stand tall with good posture, and we'll start to create a flow. As the right knee lifts up, the arms come forward. We'll take a big step back behind us with that right leg and turn to the long side of the mat into warrior two. So we'll hold here for just a second to make sure that your positioning is correct. So the left foot is still pointing toward the front of your mat. The right foot is at a right angle to that foot and is parallel to the back edge of your mat. Now let's take a side angle pose. So we'll bring the left hand down toward the knee and reach, really stretch the side waist. And then come up slightly and reach that other arm out. We're going to shift into a balance pose here called starfish. Now you might need to take a little step in a little bit with your back foot, then find your balance, lift your leg out to the side. It's not behind you because my body's turned the long edge of your mat. This is the lateral leg lift from our New York Times exercises. Step back down into warrior two. Then kind of cartwheel your arms into reverse warrior. So we're reaching that left arm up. Back to your warrior two. Now your challenge here is I want you to try to step forward back into single leg stance. And again, if you need to take a little baby step, bring the right arm down and lift the right knee up, hold. Then return to mountain. All right, this is a long sequence. Let's do it on the other side. Left knee lifts up, our arms are forward. Now, as you step this left foot back, you'll be turning out to your left into warrior two. So my left arm swept down and out. Get your stance really well before you begin. And take a side angle pose. So your right elbow comes down toward your thigh, your left arm reaches up toward the ceiling, or even further toward that diagonal, that left bicep reaching close to the ear. Now come up slightly and reach the right arm out. We're getting ready for our balance pose. Now if you need your chair, be close enough to it as you step in, that as you come up into your balance pose, you can touch your fingers onto your chair. If you're pretty upright, this is a starfish pose. If you're further forward, this is called half moon. Then very carefully set back down into your warrior two and shift into reverse warrior. So your right hand is coming up, your left arm is either floating down the side of your leg or you can wrap it behind your back. Come back to your warrior two, and then we need to get back to our single leg stance with our left knee up. So let your left arm lower, Reach both hands forward, take a step and lift your knee up. That's super challenging. And then come back to mountain. Let's do it one more time on each side, and then I'm going to give you the opportunity to add hand weights. But if you're ready and you want to grab them now, you certainly can. The arm movements are the same. Right knee is up, both arms are forward. Holding your balance. As your right arm starts to drop down, your right foot steps back, we turn out into warrior two. Arms aren't super tall here, so they're below the level of your shoulders. Shift into side angle, left hand supporting on your thigh, right arm reaching up or even closer to your ear. Now this is the one to be cautioned on if you're using weights. You want to be more straight up and down. Then we're going to shift into our balance. So reach this arm forward, take a baby step forward if you need to, and find your starfish pose or your half moon. Use that chair if you need to help support. Breathing steady. Come back down into warrior two with control and shift into reverse warrior. Back to warrior two. And this right arm is going to start to come down as we turn our body to the top edge of the mat and step into single leg stance with the right knee up. Return to mountain pose. Prepare on the left side, standing with good posture. Left knee is up, both arms are forward. As the left arm starts to drop, the left leg steps back and we turn the long edge of our mat, warrior two. Side angle pose. Slightly come up and shift into your balance pose. Starfish or half moon. Step back into warrior two. Reverse warrior. Back to warrior two. Left arm sweeps down and forward as we turn our body toward our destination. Step into left knee up, single leg stance. And lower. We have two more flows on each side. You choose if you'd like to add a little bit of extra resistance. And if you didn't nail the flow without the weights, it's not the day to add those. So feel free just to give yourself that permission not to add the weights. Okay, standing tall, right knee lifts, arms present forward. Right arm starts to drop as we step back and turn out. Side angle pose, the weight is straight up and down. Shift into your balance position, up off the back leg, hold. These light hand weights really change my body's center of gravity, much more challenging. Step back, warrior two. Reverse warrior. Weight is straight up and down. Feel a little bit more work in your core here. Back to warrior two. Right arm lowers and reaches forward as we look to our destination. Right knee lifts, single leg stance. Mountain pose. Left side, left knee up, arms forward. Find your balance before you move into the next step. Left arm starts to lower as we step back, left foot, open out, warrior two. Breathe. Side angle pose. Left arm is up, right forearm can be braced on your thigh. Step into your balance pose when you are ready. Now, even if you have your weight, you can actually reach for your chair and still have it in your hand. Step back, warrior two. Slowly reverse warrior. Looking up toward the upward hand. Back to your warrior two. Really feeling this shoulder work here. Let your left arm start to lower. Turn your body to the top edge of your mat. Weights are parallel. Step up into single leg stance. Return to mountain. What do you think? Can we do it once more on each side? Maybe you're setting your weights down to finish this last sequence. Right knee up, single leg stance. Really ground into that left foot. Stand super tall, good posture. Right arm starts to drop as we step back. Turn out the long edge of your mat. Side angle pose. Now, those of you that are adding the weight here, you can do a little tricep bend and straighten your elbow, just for fun, and then shift into your balance pose. Lift up off that back leg, find a good focal point, a good drishti. Step back to warrior two. If your arms are tired, let them come down. Reverse warrior. You can add a tricep here. Back to your warrior two. Here's our tricky part. Right arm lowers. We turn our body forward. Step into single leg stance. Mountain pose. Wow, I feel the heat that this flow is building in the muscles. We just have one more. Left leg lifts. Single leg stance. Left arm lowers as we step back and turn out. Warrior two. Side angle pose. If you have weights, or even if you don't, option to bend your elbow and straighten. Shift into your balance pose. Maybe you're looking at the floor to help you balance. Step back, warrior two. If arms are tired, let them lower. Reverse warrior. And we can add our tricep. Bend the elbow slowly, extending the arms straight. Back to our warrior two, final time. Left arm lowers and we turn our body to face where our destination is. Step into single leg stance. Lower to mountain. And if you have hand weights, go ahead and release those. Beautiful. Now, our shoulders are feeling a little bit of work. So I want to take a simple flow and stretch those shoulders out. So standing in mountain. Option is to reach your hands behind you, open up your chest, and take a baby back bend. Or just open your arms and reach them behind like we did in that warrior one, or you can even place your hands at your hips, pull your elbows back, and lift your heart, similar to a standing camel pose. And we'll release that. Step your right foot back, turn out the long side of your mat, come into warrior two. We'll take the left arm and bring it across, and you can hug it in toward you, or slip that right arm underneath and come into eagle arms. Pull those elbows toward the back leg, your right leg. Look over your left shoulder. Hold and breathe. Now, just reverse the arm position. So you'll take your elbows over to the front side of your mat and look over the back shoulder. Really open up through your shoulder blades. Keep your elbows toward the front side. Turn your body that direction toward your destination. And we'll lower down into humble warrior. So I'm going to bring my elbows down toward my front knee and release any tension in the lower back, mid back, upper back, backs of the shoulders, the neck. Scoop the abdominals in though and continue to brace your abs. Inhale, back up. Let your arms unravel and reach back out. Warrior two. You're gazing toward your destination, top of your mat. Step into mountain pose. We'll repeat that sequence. So open out into a baby back bend. You can interlace the hands. Lift the heart. Open up your throat slightly. Release. Left foot steps back as we open out into our warrior two. And this time our left arm comes across the front of our body. We hug it in or slip the right arm underneath for eagle and look over your left shoulder, that back shoulder. So we're pulling elbows to the right, head looking left, releasing neck tension. And shoulder blades are down. Try not to let the shoulders shrug up. Then let's pull the elbows across to the other side and look to the right. Now this is a little bit harder to go this direction and get range of motion. Just go where you can. Bring your elbows back toward the top of your mat and lower down into humble warrior any amount. I always like to check in on my back foot when I'm here because I can very easily see my back foot underneath the arch. And make sure you're not collapsing into the inner side of your arch. You want to keep that lifted up so your foot's in a good alignment here. Inhale, come back up. Unravel the arms, exhale. And step forward toward the top of your mat into mountain pose. Great. Take a moment, if you'd like, just to close your eyes, check in while I search for my windscreen. It just flew off there, and I don't want to have it sound really airy. All right, holding that mountain pose. Maybe eyes are closed. Just see how you're feeling today. Now we have really heated up the body. So now it's time to use that warmth in our muscles to come into some deep stretches. If you have your chair up at the top of your mat and you'd like to use it for downward dog, make sure that the legs of the chair are firmly planted on your yoga mat so it doesn't get away from you. So if you're using your chair for down dog, place your hands on top of the chair, step your feet back, and drop into that wonderful stretch for your lats. If you're taking this down to the mat, lower hands down to the ground, walk those feet back behind you. Press back away from the palms of your hands and sink your heels into the mat. Holding and breathing. One more breath. If you're on the mat, walk your feet back toward your hands. You can place them on your chair if you'd like for a moment. And we'll rise up to mountain. So maybe using your chair for a deep hamstring stretch, and your choice is twofold. You can take your right foot up on top of your chair, This is going to focus on balance a little bit as we stretch forward any amount. Or you can do a foot on the floor and use your hands on the chair for an assisted pyramid. Or not using your chair at all, we'll come into pyramid, maybe bringing the hands behind the back, gently maybe supporting on the shin or coming down to a block or to the mat. So we'll hold our hamstring stretch a minute from here, getting into the pose that works best for you, getting as comfortable as you can, holding and breathing. Now really keep your mind fully present on what's happening in your body. And you're noticing or looking and feeling any signs that might tell you it's time to come out of this pose. So some of those signs might be the muscle is starting to shake and quiver. Definitely if you're feeling any pain that's just beyond that discomfort of a deep stretch, you should come out of that pose. If you're feeling discomfort in other joints, say for instance your lower back, then that is a sign to come out, or maybe just take a brief break and come back into the stretch. Let's hold here 2 more breaths. And then slowly make your way out of your stretch to stand back up into mountain. And then we'll stretch the hip flexor on that same leg. So we just did the back of the right leg. Now we'll do the front of the right hip. So step that right foot back behind you. Your heel can be down or toe can be lifted, and do a little pelvic tilt. So you're sitting your tailbone down and opening up the front of this hip. Lift your right arm up to really stretch, and an optional side bend over to the left. And squeeze your right glute. Give it a little tension. That's going to help you open up that hip flexor. It's called reciprocal inhibition of the muscle group. 2 more breaths. Come back up to neutral. Release the arm. The back foot steps forward. We're in mountain pose. What do you feel? I definitely feel it really open through both sides of my pelvis. So let's do the left leg hamstring stretch, taking the one that works best for you. Are you bringing the heel to the chair? Are you bringing the foot in front a little bit and using the chair to support your hands? In pyramid, take this to your place in your space, and that might be different on this left side depending on what's going on in your body. So now that you're there, we're breathing 60 seconds, listening, feeling, watching for signs that it's time for you to come out of that stretch sooner, or to modify it or to alter it in a way that muscles aren't shaking or quivering and there's no pain. The exception of that, I like to just call it a mild discomfort of the muscles stretching and the fascia lengthening in the muscle. Try to take a deeper breath in and out, or a sinking breath, which is a quicker breath in and a slower elongated exhalation. And we have 10 seconds. 2 more breaths. Take your time to rise up. Find equilibrium in your body, standing tall, Taking the left foot back to stretch that left hip flexor. Any amount behind you, tuck the pelvis under. So this is going to elongate that hip flexor. Squeeze your left gluteal. Reach your left arm up to elongate even more. And a side bend over to the right. Now the arm, we talked about this on Tuesday. For shoulder issues, your arm doesn't necessarily have to be straight here. You can kind of bend your elbow and reach the elbow up to the ceiling. And boy, I sure like that stretch as well. I really feel that. So you might want to play with that a little bit. 2 more breaths. Then the body comes up to neutral, the arm lowers, the back foot steps in, and we come back to mountain pose. 2 more breaths in mountain. See if you can come into even better posture, more of a connection in your upper back, more self-confidence. As we stand taller, we feel that self-confidence. So we'll be coming into our hip opener today, which is either pigeon pose, seated pigeon, or laying on your back, a figure 4 stretch. So since I'm standing up, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the sitting in the chair version first. If you know the one you want to get to, we're going to switch things up and do the left side first, because we always do the right. So if you're doing the seated, your left knee will come up, you'll cross the ankle over the right thigh, you'll fold your chest forward any amount. Same thing if you're laying on your back, you'll cross the left ankle over the right thigh and pull those knees up to your chest. If you're coming into pigeon, I need my blanket here. I hear someone at the door. I told my drywaller guy he couldn't come till after 11:30. I wonder if he's early. Dave will get it. Okay, if you're doing pigeon, we start in our down dog. We'll bring the left knee forward on an angle and come down into your pigeon, maybe using that blanket for some support. And now that we're all here together, look at my little timer here. Let's hold 2 solid minutes if you have the feeling that you can hold this. And now we're moving into more of a yin style of practice versus yang. Our yin poses are held very still for a minimum of 2 minutes, sometimes even longer. And they're designed to reach deep into the muscle tissue as well as the connective tissue, which is the fascia. We slow down the breathing, coming out sooner if you need to or making any modifications. As you're holding, again, we're listening, feeling, watching for any signs that we need to change our pose. So we're fully present in this position. Our mind isn't wandering. We're continuing the connection with our breath, our brain, and our body, the 3 Bs. We have 30 seconds remaining on this left side. Now, depending on which position you're in, will determine how you'll switch. So we'll take 1 more breath together. If you are in pigeon on the mat, you can come into a downward dog. If you're laying on your back in figure 4 stretch, uncross the ankles, maybe do a little bit of windshield wiper. If you're sitting in a chair, you can uncross the legs and take any stretching there and moving that feels good in the chair for you in this moment. And then mentally prepare to move with your body, choosing the other side, bringing that right knee forward, using your chair, laying on your back for figure 4, using any props you need for your pigeon pose. Now this is a deep hip opener, the deep external rotators of the hip. So we're getting into the piriformis muscle, the gemellus, and really opening up the hip to release any tension on the sciatic nerve. But we're not pushing too deep to that point of pain. So really focusing. Allow a slow breath to help you relax here, to fully surrender to this pose. Check to make sure you're not tensing through your jaw, any muscles in your face. There's no gripping anywhere in your body. And we'll be here another 30 seconds. And again, depending on where you are in your position will determine how you exit the pose here. Let's take 2 more breaths together. And then slowly exit the pose, depending on where you're at. Find some gentle movement. From downward dog, you can pedal out the feet. From laying on your back, maybe windshield wipers. And then eventually we'll meet one another in a simple cross-leg pose, or even you can sit in your chair just upright. So wherever you are on your mat, take your time to transition. And I love to use my blanket to sit up on as well, just to slightly elevate the hips. And just find a comfortable place. And sit with intention. So not slumping. How often do we do this and collapse into our seated position? So let's lift upright, draw those shoulders back, fully engage the bandhas. And we'll come back into that pattern we did with breath of joy, but this is going to be a very calming pranayama. So not to elevate the heart rate, but to relax us. So very slowly, you'll inhale 3 times through the nose. And through the mouth. On your own. One more time. Now with a side bend of the body. So bring your left hand next to you, either on the mat or on your chair. The right arm on your 3 inhales will lift. And then exhale. On your 3 inhales, bring it back up. Exhale. Other side, 3 inhales. Exhale. 3 inhales. Both arms, 3 inhales. Exhale here. 3 inhales. And exhale. Relax hands to the tops of your knees. Eyes are closed. Our last opportunity to check in and bring our awareness to the 3 B's, the brain, the body, and the breath. We'll press our palms into an Anjali Mudra, our sign and symbol of honor and gratitude and respect. And the honor and the gratitude and the respect that reside within me, honor that honor and gratitude and respect in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. I hope that the background noise of the drill isn't too much. My little repairman came before I told him to come, 11:30. But we can still chat after class. I'm going to shut our recording off. We just might have a little bit of background noise, but I would really love to see how you're doing today if you can stay on with me for a minute or two. Thanks so much, everyone.